Hello everybody, David Lowry with Club Fantasci coming to you from the Southern Hobby Supply Retail Expo here in Nashville. Joining me is Jussila with Playmore Games. He's from Finland, so if I butcher the name, it's not on me. That's all I gotta say. We're gonna look at Race to the North Pole, which, by my own admission, I have played, I love, it's a great game. So endorsing this game myself. Tell them a little bit about this and what makes this so special.
Race to the North Pole is a game where you're trying to conquer the North Pole, and as we know, it's a harsh condition. Your goal is to navigate around the cracks, trying to reach the center, and you're competing against the rest of the other competitors, other players who can ambush you and return your meeples back to your ship, so you have to start over. But the twist in this game is the storm mechanic. Whenever an Arctic storm strikes, the board rotates. And whenever that happens, everything changes. The Arctic landscape with the cracks form again. So those cracks form in new places. You have to find a new route to the center. Also your cards, your three options, which you always pick one of them. Every time there's a storm, your options change as well. And that keeps this game fresh. All the information is open, so you know at all times how the weather is building up and what options other players have. So it's a casual, light strategy game, but actually when you play it a few times, you start to realize that there is actually a whole heap amount of information that you can read in the game and use that in your strategy. And also what I like to do, manipulate other players. I excel in that. And as soon as you get your whole team to the center, which is the North Pole, you win the game instantly.
So I can tell you that even as light as the game is, there's a lot of tension that goes on in this game, and a lot of fun, because you're basically knocking people back to their ships, right? So you get that little player interaction, and you can kind of stab people in the back a little bit, which is always a little bit of fun. The North Pole is a very unique mechanic. Explain that to them.
The North Pole you can only access from the direction with the boot symbol. So you have to get to this particular square on the board. Now this is one more step, so you still have to play a card, any card with the boot symbol on it to make that final step. Now if you're standing there and it's not your turn yet, you're waiting for your turn to go and the storm strikes, what's going to happen is the storm will take you away from the access point to the North Pole, and now you are actually one step further. And funny enough, what would happen here, the hole in the ice that happens to be, that might appear on the game. If somebody ambushes and takes one ice max tile and it happens to be a hazard, they fall through the ice. And for example, now that square is blocked, so now actually the access point to North Pole would be blocked until there was another storm and it opens up again. So that end game where everybody's getting to the center and there's a lot of alliances going on, everybody's ambushes each other and trying to get that one advantage for themselves to actually get their last meeple in and win the game. So I always enjoy the end game, and this game is really not over until it's over.
Right. So the other thing is, with these tokens, you got special abilities that you can do that are one-time use abilities.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got the wolf, which allows you to take a second turn, if I remember right.
Yes. Husky allows you to play an extra card on your turn, so you can do like a 2-card combo.
Yes. And then you got the snowshoes, which allow you to cross the cracks in the ice.
Yep.
Right, and this allows you to enter the North Pole from a different direction, possibly.
And also, if a player, let me find an igloo here, if a player is hiding in an igloo, and you have a pickaxe, you can ambush that player. Normally they would be safe in an igloo, but the pickaxe allows you to play an ambush card, which would be here, red, horizontal, or vertical ambush card. If you play that with the pickaxe, you could take down a player who's hiding in an igloo. So you smack down the igloo and send that player back to their ship.
And the ambush card is symbolized by the boots kicking somebody out of their space, basically.
Yeah, that's a comic style, thing there.
So that's kind of cool. And now, each player starts with a couple of these to start the game with, but to get them later, how do they get them?
There's a couple of ways. First of all, there's in each corner of the game board, there's one of them. So if you take a little bit of a detour, because from your ship you're always arriving to your base camp. So if you do take a detour first, you get one of those ice masks, and then you reveal it. There's, for example, a husky. You get to add that to your team board. So for example, here's the penguin team. They have a husky and a compass in the beginning. Compass allows you to rotate the North Pole disc. So I would add the husky to my inventory and use it later on in the game.
Okay.
And the other way, when you ambush somebody, let's say the white player there ambushes the black one, returning them to their ship, and they take the top one from this pile on top of the compass. And it could be, let's see, a compass, which I just showed you what it does.
Right.
Or it could be, a hole in the ice, they go through the ice and they have to return as well.
So there are hazards within that.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of risk.
Yes, and this is a fun hazard. If you get the polar bear, it means that your pawn that just ambushed gets replaced by the bear. And when the bear is in play, each player can play their card for the bear instead of their own pawn. So now there's a piece everybody can control, and all the same rules apply to the bear than to your own pawn. So that's a fun mechanic as well, and that does not always appear in the game, but sometimes it does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now, this game has been upgraded from the original edition. What is new about the second edition of Race to the North Pole?
It's still the exact same game, so we didn't make any rules change. Because the second print run was so big, that allows us to enhance the component quality of the game. So pretty much everything is just higher quality, and the second edition allowed us to do a new axle mechanic. This works a bit better from you've seen the first edition axle we had, and now we actually got to mold specifically made axle for this game, so it works a bit better. And then we added a couple of meeples, like the snowflake meeple is the active player marker, which is a lot of people want to buy just the snowflake meeple because they want to make earrings or whatever out of it. And we have the polar bear, which is a new meeple as well. And the symbols are now engraved on these. In the first version we had stickers and you had to put them on, and that was kind of annoying. So these engraved, they have a pretty nice feel to them as well. But yeah, they're engraved on the meeples and they look very good.
So upgraded components. On the card here, you have to get your players up to the top of the North Pole, which is actually represented by that there.
Yeah.
But they also get bonuses if they're the first person on that level on a couple of these things as well.
Yes, in the beginning of the game you put one equipment face down in each corner and one to the North Pole. So the first player, the quickest player to the North Pole with their first meeple gets one ice mask from there, which is going to be an equipment as well. And the bear is there because all the same rules apply to the bear as your pawns. So if you go to the North Pole with the bear, it gets added to the scoreboard as well. Not to your team, but it just goes there on its own, and then it's out of the game.
Ah, awesome. There it is. So, Race to the North Pole from Playmore Games, but we have something else to discuss as well. What else would you like to bring to the retail?
I would like to mention Dized, because, well, if you're a retailer watching this would be very beneficial for you. Dized is our smart device application, which essentially is a friend at the table who will teach you how to play a game. That's exactly correct. You can skip the rulebook, sit down with your group with a new game, start playing, and while you are playing, the app will teach you how the game works. And I'm quickly gonna show you how the app looks. You can already download it for Android, and the iOS version is following up in a few weeks. And it's spelled, I'm just showing this, so it's D-I-Z-E-D, like digitalized but pushed together, so it's Dized. Oh, there's a better version there. So we have this app here for Race to the North Pole.
Welcome to the Arctic Tundra, adventurer.
And this app will teach you step by step how you set up the game and how you play the game in a way that you can start playing immediately. And it is like a friend at the table who tells you how to play the game. And it takes player input while you go along, so it customizes to the player experience every time. So every time you play it with a different group, it might go a bit differently. You still get taught all the same rules, but sometimes you need a rule earlier on in the game, and sometimes next time you play you don't need it at all, or you need it later on. And that's what this app does, so it customizes to that experience. And this works very well. We've been trying out, it's been already shown at Gen Con and at Spiel. At Spiel we have also a German version out of this, so we were able to teach German people how to play our game, even though we don't speak any German. The next game that will be on Dized is Bang, and we're trying to push that out before Christmas, but it's a very tight schedule, so I'm not making any promises, but that's our goal. And next year you will see a lot more titles coming to Dized.
So how does a retailer utilize this tool?
A retailer can download it. It's a free to download app, so any consumer or retailer can download it, and you can just put this on the table at your store with our game and tell people sit down and learn the game and just sell them a copy 15 minutes later. This is what we did at Gen Con and at Spiel very successfully already.
There it is. Dized at getdized.com. Race to the North Pole at Playmore Games. .fi, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, dice.com, race to the North Pole.com or playmoregames.com.
There it is. Or, of course, southernhobby.com. That is
Yes.
Juuni. I'm David. We are coming to you live from the Southern Hobby Supply Retail Expo here in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay tuned so you can see more amazing stuff just like this.